We are following breaking news out of Lower Manhattan right now. We have first responders right now at a building collapse. This is inside a garage. You're looking at the first video of the scene. The location, 57 Ann Street, the site listed as enterprise and parking. We're being told several floors of that parking garage collapsed. And right now, as we speak, there is an effort by firefighters and first responders to try and get to anyone trapped inside. And you can see how all these cars are pancaked on top of one over the other one. We have a number of reporters heading to the scene. Of course, we will bring you the very latest as soon as we can get more information on the situation there.
Yeah, clearly a very serious situation. The streets down there are very, very tight. It's going to be very difficult for firefighters to get all their equipment into that area. Obviously, we are hoping that they are able to do so and do so quickly. You can see the firefighters there on scene. We do have several crews right now making their way to this scene to try to bring us some live reports and some updates on this breaking story.
We're going to turn to weather right now.
Well, chaos breaking out in downtown Chicago on Saturday night as hundreds of young people crowded the streets. And the video coming from this shocking, showing massive groups jumping on cars, causing tourists to flee the sound of gunfire. 2 teens were hospitalized after they were shot in all of this. News Nation affiliate WGN's Courtney Spinelli has the latest on the city's response.
Right now, things are much quieter than last night when hundreds of young people flooded this area, prompting a massive police response. During it, 2 teens were shot and rushed to the hospital, both said to be in fair condition. This right here is what it looked like on the streets of Chicago Saturday night.
We had people jumping on cars. This is insane.
Large numbers of young people crowding the area of the loop from Michigan Avenue to Clark Street and could be seen jumping on parked cars and smashing windows. 2 times, groups of teens were also seen punching, kicking, and stomping on someone on the ground.
The crime in Chicago is simply out of hand. It's nuts.
Community activists outraged and calling on city leaders to help address the crime.
We need to give the Chicago Police Department the funding and the resources that they need to take care of this crime in our communities.
As chaos unfolded Saturday night, it was enough to disrupt traffic and CTA service. Officers flooded the scene, attempting to control the crowds.
There needs to be more respect for our police officers. There needs to be more law and order. The punks outside in the street, they don't care. They can do anything they want.
In the midst of it all, shots were fired just after 9, leaving 2 teens injured. A 17-year-old boy was hit in the leg, and a 16-year-old boy was shot in the arm.
There were crowds in the streets, there were people yelling, there were police cars, so I used my running capability and we basically ran back to our hotel.
Margaret Vatum says she came to Chicago to see the ballet, but it was the scene in front of her that caused her to move quickly back to her hotel. She's been to the city many times before, but feels uneasy after Saturday's event.
I am kind of nervous about coming to Chicago in warmer weather again. When it's nice and cold, people seem to not be out acting like this, but it was scary.
Locals Stuart and Heidi Floyd say they only saw a large group of kids, but didn't see anything destructive happening.
When we walked by, it was a large group of kids, and they were just kids being kids. So we didn't see any of the vandalism or destruction.
Meantime, this isn't the first time this weekend police have responded to a massive group of teens. Hundreds took over 31st Street Beach Friday night, where a 14-year-old boy was also shot.
This is beautiful city. We do not want to see the city makes the world news again.
We're now learning a higher number than we originally were told, which is 32 people hurt during a shooting at a birthday celebration out in Alabama over the weekend.
4 people were killed. 3 of them were teenagers about to graduate from high school. Law enforcement gave an update overnight. They say that officers found shell casings from handguns, but there's no evidence a high-powered rifle was used. Members of the community say they're focused on the healing process now, as so many families are grieving.
They're going to love each other, take care of each other, and they're going to be there. And, you know, the big thing is just time for some healing, and time. It'll take time to do that.
Police say there is no ongoing threat. Still, no arrests have been announced, and police are not providing any information about any possible suspects or motive.
We begin tonight again in Somerset County, where a train derailed near the village of Rockwood yesterday morning. The derailment caused a fire and 3 crew members were injured in the incident. Our Sam Olsen was on scene there last night, and today she spoke with first responders and local residents as the community begins to clean up.
The derailment happened about 3 miles east of where I'm standing. Right now I'm on Long Pond Road, and behind me you can see some of the trucks and equipment they're using to clean up the site. These are the sights and sounds of crews that have been working since yesterday afternoon to clean up the site where a train derailed Saturday morning. The train came up on a track washout, which led to a crash and fire involving the locomotives and 4 derailed lumber cars.
Those lumber cars look like pretzels. I think the heat distorted them and they were all like really messed up.
Russell Griffin lives in Jackman, and he and his friend decided to take to the skies Saturday morning to see the wreckage. What he recalls,
black smoke going right up like a column.
But on the ground, the damage was even more shocking.
Seeing it firsthand and walking around it is like, wow, there was a lot of force here.
Bill Jarvis is the chief of the Jackman Moose River Fire and Rescue Department. He was part of one of the first crews on site. He says 3 crew members on board one of the locomotives told him they were able to escape by climbing out of a window.
They could see the tracks and the washout underneath, and they knew that they were going to go in, and there was nothing they could do.
Jarvis says remarkably, they were able to make it out alive and were released from the hospital yesterday.
They were extremely lucky. Somebody was watching out for them, without a doubt, because if they hadn't gotten out, there's no way we would ever have gotten to them. Just never would have happened.
A CPKC spokesperson says 2 cars carrying hazardous materials like ethanol derailed.